But if you're looking for a nice place to stay in Portugal that also offers brandy tasting experience, then I've got some recommendations for you. Hello and welcome to My Tiny Bottles, the project where I'm exploring my grandmother's legacy of miniature liquor bottles, one tiny bottle at a time. I'm your host, Tammy Coxon. Bottle number 67 is Pousada Brandy from Portugal. The word Pousada means guest house in Portuguese, so researching this one was a bit of a challenge. But if you're looking for a nice place to stay in Portugal that also offers brandy tasting experience, then I've got some recommendations for you. I did discover that Pousada is a label from Pocas, previously called Pocas Junior. Pocas is a historic port house which was founded by a Portuguese family and has remained within the family for 4 generations, a rare thing in Portugal. While this is more common today, most of the early port houses were controlled by the British. Their connection to brandy goes back to their beginning. The company was founded in 1918 by Manuel Domingues Pocas Jr., not to make port wine, but to make the brandy that is used to fortify port. Check out bottle number 61, Taylor Fladgate LBV, for more on that. In 1932, one of their customers couldn't pay his brandy bill. As payment, the company received a 2.5-hectare farm, Quinta de Cortas, which today houses their winemaking operation and visitor center. Pocas Junior released its first vintage port in 1960, but I can't tell if they were making non-vintage port before then or were exclusively in the brandy business. They must have continued making and selling brandy side by side with their port for a while. I found a bunch of old bottles of Pocas Junior Old Brandy for sale on Portuguese secondary market websites. But none of those had a date on them, so I don't know how long that lasted. Their current website doesn't list any brandy for sale. Their website also doesn't mention the Pousada name, but the small print at the bottom of the label does say that it was made by Pocas Junior, and I found examples of Pousada ports from them for sale online, with the last vintage from 2007. In terms of pinning a date on my particular bottle, I can say that it's from after 1984. It has something that looks like a tax strip, but is a selo de garantia from the Junta Nacional do Vinho. In tiny print, it has some words written in Portuguese, which I am going to horribly mispronounce. Des lei 58 out of 84 de 21 de Feb de 1984. Which at first I thought must be a production date. But no, it turns out to refer to a law passed in 1984, des lei being short for Decree of Law. In 1986, another law was passed which changed the Junta Nacional de Vinho, JNV, into the Instituto Divina e Divino, IVV, so maybe I could say this bottle's from 1984 to 1986? But I have no idea how long the IVV kept using the JNV's labels, so it could have been after that one. Still, I'm gonna go with 1980s for this one. And that's really all I could find out. What it lacks in story, it might make up in tastiness though. It is a glass bottle with pretty high shoulder levels, and that's been working out for me pretty well with other brandies I've tasted. Do you know anything about Pousada Brandy? Leave a comment and like and subscribe while you're there. You can also leave comments at my website, mytinybottles.com, and on social media. I'm Tammy Coxon on Blue Sky and at MyTinyBottles on Instagram and Facebook. Also, don't forget to check out the My Tiny Bottles Patreon with lots of bonus content and special offers for supporters. Cheers!